Hello, new Stoics. This is Tim, and this is today's Daily Stoic. I apologize about not uploading Saturday and Sunday, but I feel like now is a good time to start doing a not daily upload schedule. I'm probably going to be dropping Friday and Sunday just to make it a little easier with editing and to get a video out on a semi-weekly basis. I just don't really have a lot of time to upload every single day. I'm trying my best, but it's very difficult to do sometimes when I'm working 10-hour days. But I'm trying my best, and I'll be still getting these out as often as I can. So last week we went over the Enchiridion, and we may go back to a few parts, and maybe just to go over Epictetus's life. He has a very interesting life. He was kind of the embodiment of Stoicism. On one end, grew up a slave, but I'd like to shift to the other side of Stoicism. How to deal with power and wealth and still be a good person. So with some philosophies, and even with some religious mindsets, it's a very difficult thing for someone rich and powerful to be a good person, because you have so many potential vices to control you. From a Marxist perspective, you're literally controlling people. It's almost like a form of slavery, because you're controlling your workers, and there's a lot of mindsets out there that are really anti-rich and anti-wealth, anti-power, and then there's some that are more positive towards it, like ideas of Nietzsche and others. Now, Stoicism isn't really pro-wealth or pro-poverty or anything like that. It's more or less a more consistent lifestyle of how to live with wealth, or how to live with not having very much money, how to deal with both, how to live your life, a life of virtue, no matter what your station is in life. And it's not making any kind of judgments about, should we change this, should things be better, except if it's a very oppressive system, then of course we need to fix it, we need to change it, because justice is one of the virtues of Stoicism. But the one thing to really keep in mind is Stoicism views wealth and power to be subject to the virtues the same way that a slave is, or a lower class person is. But it also accepts that there are definitely more vices. There's more opportunities for someone to abuse their power, and to that degree. So we're going to get into Marcus Aurelius's Meditations. I'm just going to read chapter 1 of book 2, and it's mainly because book 1 is mostly acknowledgments. They're very good, but it just describes some of the people that Marcus really valued, and it kind of put him in the position where he is. But before we get into the meditations, I'd like to just do a quick biography of Marcus Aurelius, so that we can have a better understanding of who Marcus Aurelius, called the philosopher, was. Roman emperor from 161 to 180. He was adopted by Anatolius Pius, whose daughter Faustina he married, and whom he and his adopted brother Lucius Verus succeeded. He ruled the Roman Empire with Lucius until Lucius's death in 169, and with his son by Faustina Commodus from 177. He was the last of the rulers traditionally known as the Five Good Emperors. He was a practitioner of Stoicism, and his personal philosophical writings, which later be called the Meditations, are a significant source of modern understanding of ancient Stoic philosophy. So that's just a quick rundown on who we're talking about. So let's move on to the Meditations, and this is chapter 1 from book 2. Remember to put yourself in mind every morning that before night it will be your luck to meet with some busybody, with some ungrateful, abusive fellow, with some knavish, envious, or unsociable churl or other. Now all these perverseness in them proceeds from their ignorance of good and evil, and since it has fallen to my share to understand the natural beauty of good action and the deformity of an ill one, since I am satisfied the person disobliging is of kin to me, and though we are not just of the same flesh and blood, yet our minds are nearly related, both being extracted from the deity. I am likewise convinced that no man can do me real injury, because no man can force me to misbehave myself, nor can I find it in my heart to hate or be angry with one of my own nature and family. For we are all made for mutual assistance, as the feet, the hands, and the eyelids, as rows of upper and under teeth, from whence it follows that clashing and opposition is perfectly unnatural. Now such an unfriendly disposition is implied in resentment and aversion. Alright, so this is just a quick idea of Marcus Aurelius's view on virtue ethics, and it's basically very similar to how Socrates and Plato viewed ethics. Is one, no one can really change how we behave. I mean, if they force us to misbehave, that's not us misbehaving. We still have a choice to misbehave in that case. Like if somebody puts a gun to your head and says you do this or you die, you didn't really make the wrong decision by dying. You lived virtuously in that case. So that's a really interesting way of looking at virtue ethics. It's but it's also goes back to the idea from Socrates and Plato. We don't really know which, because I believe it comes from the Republic and it was Socrates speaking, but obviously Plato wrote the Republic. But anyways, so basically it's the idea that no one knowingly commits a crime, or no one knowingly does unvirtue. We are ignorant of how being unvirtuous hurts other people or ourselves. And so those ideas kind of translate over to Stoicism in a way. I also think that it's, if people understood what would happen after, for instance, committing a crime or doing something wrong, or doing something that you think is wrong but you didn't know was wrong at the time, if you could go back in time and change that, you would do the more virtuous thing. And that's my mindset. And I mean, people could say that people are generally evil or generally good or whatever. I would say 9 times out of 10, if we could go back and look at what we did, we would try and do the virtuous thing, because not just because of the consequences of doing something wrong, but also the way that it makes us feel, the way that it makes other people feel. And not just that, just behaving in an unrational way is rarely beneficial to us. And we're just going to keep going with the meditations this week. We're going to kind of discuss what Stoic meditation is. And I'd like to get into that a little bit because it's a big part of being a Stoic, and I'll probably discuss that sometime this week. But anyways, I hope everybody's having a great day, and this is Tim signing out.